Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Tuesday, January 15th, 2019. It's episode number 49 of the Patreon podcast. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Start off with a little bit of this day in history. It is what would have been Martin Luther King Jr.'s 90th birthday today. He was born January 15th, 1929. A perfect date to be the leader of the civil rights movement. His date of birth, January 15, 1929, had 64 date numerology. And in Gematria, civil rights equals 64. Think about the Civil Rights Act in 1964. And again, I'll remind you, in that same cipher that civil rights equals 64, so does the name Barack Hussein Obama. Obama, number 44, elected 44 years after the Civil Rights Act. MLK killed on 4/4. Malcolm X killed on a date with 44 numerology, and his assassin Thomas Hagen got 44 years in prison. Plus Thomas Hagen equals 44. We'll be talking more about Martin Luther King Jr. I see a lot of themed news today that has to do with Mr. King. Also on this day in history, the term holy molasses was born. In 1919 in Boston, a tank containing an estimated 2.3 million gallons of molasses burst, sending the dark syrup coursing through the city's north end, killing 21 people. And was this a coincidence or was this a purposeful event? I can just imagine what a disaster this was. Not only did people die, but can you imagine cleaning up all of this syrup? Oh my goodness. Anyhow, today is January 15th, 115. Killing has the gematria of 115. There were some infamous Ted Bundy murders on this day, as we'll get to. Masonic has that gematria of 115 as well. We'll be talking a lot about 115 today. Big story of killing in Nairobi. Molasses has gematria 22 in the most pure cipher, like Boston as well, where this happened. And what's interesting is January 15th, 1919, it was a date with 27 numerology. Look at the gematria 27 in our two reduction-based ciphers. Syrup, 27 forwards and backwards. Syrup all over the streets of Boston. Holy molasses. So, just makes you wonder. It was this day in history that the first Super Bowl was played. This day, January 15th, 67, the date of the game, date with 83 numerology, football 83. You know, right now the face of the league, Tom Brady with that 8-3 August 3rd birthday. As for the score, the winning score, 35 points. In Chaldean and septenary gematria, Super Bowl and football equal 35. Reminder about the other ciphers that are outside of the base ciphers that are relevant. 35. QB, when you flip the alphabetic order, around 35. Speaking of Tom Brady, the face of the modern NFL, Tom Brady equals 35. His birth numerology is 35. And again, born on 8-3. Also, on this day in history, 1978, two students at Florida State University in Tallahassee, Lisa Levy and Margaret Bowman, were slain in their sorority house. Ted Bundy was later convicted of the crime and was sentenced to death, but he was executed for the rape and murder of a 12-year-old girl, which occurred 3 weeks after the sorority slayings. Sororities, fraternities, they are Masonic. Masonic does have gematria of 115, like January 15th, 1/15. Killing is also 115. Thought it was interesting that Florida State University sums to 103, just like Tallahassee. 103, the 27th prime, the ritual number, another number found around fateful deaths. The gematria of the two women who were killed. The name Margaret Bowman really stands out, the 151. Consider January 15th can be written 15/1 like 151. Also, her name has a value of 83 like murder. And Lisa Levy, notice anytime in the ordinal or reverse ordinal cipher, when you see a 111 value, you know that in the respective Sumerian ciphers where you multiply times 6, you'll have a 666 value. So Lisa Levy has this value of 666. there's a relationship with 666 and 151. 666 is the 36th triangular number, meaning if you had 1 through 36, it equals 666. And 151 is the 36th prime number. So just makes you wonder. But the Margaret Bowman name really goes with the date and the subject, murder. The date of the killing, January 15, 1978, it was a date with 32 numerology. America equals 32, so does Scottish, as in the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, which has so much influence over this nation's history. Ted Bundy himself was 32 years old at the time, and Ted Bundy's name in Gematria sums to 32, so I also find that interesting. And from his 32nd birthday to the date of the killings was 52 days later. Ted has the Gematria 52. Other things summing to 52 that are relevant include death and Kabbalah. And same with Gematria. Think of that song, Gematria, the Killing Name. So I wonder about a lot of these serial killers throughout history. Were they MK Ultra projects? You know, are they patsies? Are they really responsible for the murders? Is it someone else? A lot of the serial killers over the years, when you apply this code, a lot starts to jump out real quick, which I cover in some detail in my book, Letters and Numbers. So, fast forward to today, January 15th, 2019, on Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. What is the top story that we all wake up to? Mass murder in Nairobi, in Africa, the Black continent, on the birthday of the most famous Black American born in the United States. Again, the United States of America is very much at the center of the New World Order. And I'm going to show you just how connected this story is in Nairobi and what it has to do with the last time Nairobi was in the news for a terrorist attack, which was September of 2013. All of this is a sick joke connecting to how Martin Luther King Jr. was killed in 1968 at the age of 39, just like how Malcolm X was killed at the age of 39. Of course, it was 1939 that the segregation era ended. And just wait. Put this all together here. So MLK killed in 68, the very fateful year for the United States of America. Nairobi equals 68. So does terror. Saying a terrorist attack today. Don't forget what went down in the United States of America in 68. Photos like this in the media just make me think, come on. I mean, does this scene look legit? I mean, this looks like a B movie. Today's date, January 15th, 2019, date with 19 numerology. Chaos 19, order out of chaos, the Masonic agenda. They said that the Nairobi mall shooting in 2013 killed 67 people. Again, killer equals 67. 67 is also the 19th prime number. Now we have a story in 2019. Parallels and definitely connected, as we'll get to. 67 killed in 2013, the 19th prime. And they blamed it on the group Al-Shabaab. We used to hear a lot more about Al-Shabaab. They've been quiet for a while in the news. Al-Shabaab has this Gematria 47. Just using the alphabetic order, that's the 15th prime number. And today's the 15th. Al-Shabaab also has Gematria 61, like Nairobi, Kenya, where this happened. 61's the 18th prime number. The word race equals 18. And again, it's not hard to understand in light of it being Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. So, the Westgate Mall shooting lasted several days. I used to have videos on this on my older channel. This was about 2 weeks before I started my blog. And this story bothered me too. If you never did any research on this, it was just so obviously staged. I mean, Go back and see. Maybe the web's been scrubbed since then, but if the videos are still up, there's just so many videos that fully exposed what an act this was. Anyway, from the day it ended, September 24th, to today is 1,939 days later. And oh, wow. The era of segregation ended in 1939. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X killed at age 39. And by the way, Malcolm X equals 93, so does Martin Luther King Jr. 93, 39. Just using our most simple ciphers, the alphabetic order and the alphabetic order of the rules of numerology. It was those things discovered in 2013 that just made me say this stuff is not a coincidence. Notice also it was 277 weeks on the nose, the end of the last event to today, 277 weeks. That's the 59th prime number. All over Black history, the number 59 has been stamped. Negro, slave, Rasta, blues, and the list goes on, all 59. By the way, MLK died on the date with 95 numerology, the reflection of 59. It just isn't hard to see what's been done here, you know. Nairobi, Kenya, for the record, does have the Gematria 74 as well in the base ciphers. 74, that Masonic stamp. But no doubt, this story being served up on Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday as a mockery to the world. And just in case you missed the short video I put out last night, the top headline last night was that Steve King of the House got his committee rights stripped for racist remarks that came up. Oh, what a coincidence. On the eve of Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, we get a story about racism from a guy named King. And this emerged January 14th. When you flip the alphabetic order around, Martin Luther King Jr. is 114, kind of like the date this happened. And Rep. Steve King equals 151, kind of like 15/1, January 15th, Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. So just couldn't be any more perfect. Racist comments have Gematria of 89, like Stephen Arnold King, his full name. 89 is the 11th Fibonacci number. The 11th, Black equals 11 in the most pure cipher. But again, just more mockery, more ritual. They always have to bring up stories that involve racism or racially themed on Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. It's just clockwork every single year. And so far today, I haven't seen the story about the noose being left anywhere. I don't know if I'm missing that headline or if it's going to emerge later today, but they do it almost every year. And by the way, noose equals 68, like how MLK was killed in 68. So story might be out there, but I haven't seen it today. Not yet. Also today, more Masonic ritual across the pond. Theresa May's UK Brexit deal vote. They said this was the biggest vote in the UK in decades. It failed. But I want you to see how perfect the ritual is. So it's all about Theresa May. And when's the vote? January 15th. 115. What's Theresa May equal using the alphabetic order? 115. How perfect. Flip that alphabetic order around. Masonic's 115. Same with English. The UK, London, English. Self-explanatory. The name May also has Gematria 15, and today's the 15th. Don't forget, government equals a 47, so does authority, 47, the 15th prime. Big number there with Freemasonry. Modern Freemasonry established in London on a date with 47 numerology, June 24th, 1717. And just for a few more reminders about London and Masonry, London, Gematria, English, Masonic, Jewish, they all sum to 74, just using the alphabetic order. Ever so perfect. 74, the reflection of 47. June 24, 17, the date modern Freemasonry began in London. Why on a 47 date? Because the Freemasons have the 47th problem of Euclid about how to establish foundation. They have the compass on their logo set at 47 degrees. It's in tribute to the tropics of this world, which no doubt were placed on purpose. 47 degrees apart. The word time equals 47, just using the alphabetic order. Tropics, measurements of time. for the northern and southern hemisphere. And for just a few more reminders of who's the boss, Brexit equals 33, so does masonry, so does secrecy, so does federal, so does order. When you flip the alphabetic order around, England is 33. For the record, when you flip the alphabetic order around, masonry and secrecy, and I believe even Brexit, they're all 39. The name May is 39. Her month of birth, October, has Gematria 33 and 39. If you saw my work in 2016 when Brexit happened, I showed how, the mayor of London, Cameron, all these people that were involved, all of their birthdays were in October. Not by accident. From Theresa May's birthday, her 62nd, Mason with the alphabetic order 62. They say you got to be a man to be in masonry, so it just makes me wonder about Theresa May. But from her birthday to today is 106 days. And authority also has that gematria of 106. Notice the 15 weeks in one day, kind of like how they write the date in the UK, 15/1. So perfect. And then from the first Brexit vote, June 23rd, 2016, that was date with 65 numerology. United Kingdom equals 65. The UK voting to leave the European Union. But from that day, June 23rd, 2016 to January 15th, 2019, span of 937 days. That's the 159th prime number, 937. Scottish Rite, 159. Scottish Rite in the base ciphers is also 57. England, 57. The Scottish Rite of Freemasonry running the show worldwide. All the Scottish Rite Freemasons, the founders over here in the United States that spent so much time in the UK and France. Masonic nations, red, white, and blue. Also today, Trump's Attorney General going through his confirmation process. And they say this is the man to overturn Roe versus Wade. This is happening January 15th, 2019. This headline from Fox News caught my attention about the 19-page memo. Today has the 19-date numerology. But also today has 55-date numerology as well. And look at his name in the most pure cipher, William Barr, 55. And we just see this again and again and again and again and again and again in Washington, D.C. All of these people take their seats, go through their processes by the numbers. There's no, there's just no evidence that it's done any other way. I mean, every single time there's one of these rituals, we see how it's so perfect like this. And that's what the great frustration is with people not catching on to this. I mean, it's like nobody ever took a statistics class. This is a statistical impossibility for it to be this way every single time. But there's more. His May 23rd birthday jumped out in a big way. It's been a while since we talked about Donald Trump and 523 in the Satanic cipher, but Donald Trump does equal 523 in the Satanic cipher. It's the 99th prime number. January has gematria of 99. Notice he's 68 years old at this time as well. 68. In the most pure cipher, Donald John Trump, 68. The Apprentice is 68. When you flip the alphabetic order around his author way, Donald J. Trump is 68, how he signs his name on his books. From his birthday to today is 237 days later. It's also 33 weeks and 6 days. We know how federal masonry secrecy order is all 33. Lawyers, 33. But the 237 days jumps because that's the prime factorization of 42. 2 times 3 times 7, 42. The prime factors that go into 42. And Roe versus Wade does have that gematria of 42. Barr in 92, 27 years ago, said that Roe versus Wade would be overturned. And Right now, we're in the 45-year anniversary since Roe versus Wade, and abortion does have that Gematria 45. Donald Trump is number 45. He's very close to getting another member on the Supreme Court. It's not long till we hear about Ginsburg being removed. But it's no secret that abortion, people of all races have abortions, most of which are below the poverty line. The other big percentage is young women who aren't ready to have a child. But statistically, the women who get the abortions in the greatest percentage are Black. And I do think it's interesting that this is also coming on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And notice Roe versus Wade with our two most simple ciphers, the ones I would have only known about when I first began this. Roe versus Wade, 93 and 39. And MLK killed at age 39. Martin Luther King Jr., 93. Malcolm X, when you use the alphabetic orders, 93 like this. So I'm just going, what are the odds? I mean, this has a lot to do with abortion. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, most famous Black American. Majority of women getting abortions are Black. Is it a coincidence? And then there was also the 42 piece, and we know all about that number. The other thing that jumped out about this man's full name, Gematria of 106. 106, and Kavanaugh, who's also somebody that wants to overturn Roe versus Wade, he was confirmed on October 6, 10/6, 106. And we just talked about how this was also 106 days from Theresa May's birthday, and I was just looking at this. I mean, CNN, when they put up their headlines, it's no accident what they're doing, I think all of this stuff is just this well coordinated. Masonry from UK to the US and back to Nairobi and everywhere else in this world. Today, Bob Costas, it's announced that he's parting ways with NBC. Just going to work for the MLB network apparently now. He's leaving after 40 years. He's been there since 1979. Notice Costas equals 40. And had to laugh when I saw Bob Costas' birthday, old March 22nd, old 322 or 22/3. And then look at his name, Bob Costas, 96, 147, just like Freemason. Plus his birth numerology is 96 as well. Talk about born to be. All these tools in the media. But that's not all. He's 66 years old right now. From today to his upcoming birthday is 66 days. Or if you count the span, it's a span of 67 days to his 67th birthday. And what's 67? It's the 19th prime. I said, I'm sure we're going to see a whole lot of 67 in 2019. And boy, are we ever. Every single day. Every single day. But 67, the 19th prime, Bob 19, NBC 19, parting ways with NBC after 40 years. Costas 40. I don't know how people have any doubts about this. Last Wednesday, caller phoned in, said he was looking for the death of Dolly Parton. And I said, well, she's coming up on 73, the big sacrifice number. And talked about last week, I believe it was last Thursday's episode, how I was looking into Dolly Parton and I saw that her brother had recently died 44 days from her birthday. The kill number, kill 44, execution 44. Her brother dead 44 days from Dolly Parton's birthday. And while Dolly Parton didn't die today, Carol Channing from Hello Dolly died. And that's just got to make you go, I mean, could be a coincidence. But what's real interesting about this woman's death, well, there's a number of things. Nobody's going to question the death of a 97-year-old. She's from Seattle. Carol Channing's from Seattle. And, Seattle's making noise big in early 2019. And Seattle is the only major city I know that has a 19 gematria. This woman died who's from Seattle on a date with 19 numerology as well. So that stands out. She played the character Dolly Levy, and Hello Dolly. And Dolly equals 67, the 19th prime number. So what a day for her to die. You know, the beginning of 2019 on a date with 19 numerology. And speaking of Dolly Parton, her birthday is upcoming. She's going to turn 73 4 days later on the 19th of this month. So, and 73, dangerous numbers. Sacrifice 73, ritual sacrifice 73. Her brother just died 44 days from that birthday. Notice this woman just died shy of her 98th birthday. Would have been on Jackie Robinson's birthday. And the other thing interesting is she was a Broadway star. Today has 35 date numerology. Broadway equals 35. Of course, death equals 97, like her age of passing. And then just one other thing that jumped out in light of her dying on Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. Her full name has Gematria 93, just like Martin Luther King Jr. So thought that was interesting. Plus today is January 15th, killing 115. Her name has some other numbers that jump, but it's the date numerology that really pops in light of her being from Seattle and the Broadway thing, and also just before Dolly Parton's birthday. So caller probably had a good thought there last Wednesday. Chigozie Truth last night, I jumped in on his live stream and he was doing a decode on this. And I said, oh, I got to cover this today. What a great find by Chigozie. So this story was yesterday. UCLA gymnast earns perfect 10 for routine. Social media flips out. Well, if you want anything to go viral in social media, there has to be some force behind it, you know. You can call Prince's death, nearly every sports championship, all sorts of news stories before they happen. You think that would get some attention, but it doesn't. And I can that's where I can speak from experience. I mean, for something to go viral on the web, you have to have somebody behind you. You have to have somebody who pushes it there. You do awesome stuff, most people aren't going to hear about it. But anyhow, this story came on a date with 27 numerology. Gymnast is 27. But where it gets real interesting is that this competition that's getting all the attention was sponsored by Under Armour, and the woman's name was Caitlin Ohashi. Look at how her name overlaps with Under Armour. I mean, what in the world? 3 out of 4 ciphers. So it just makes you wonder. It's like, okay, she's older than Under Armour is, but what is really going on here? So I have no doubt, though, that this was chosen, you know, also because everybody who's hearing about this story, they're hearing the words Under Armour too. So it's viral advertising for that company. But some familiar numbers there too, like 58 Freemasonry Secret Society. And her name Ohashi has that gematria 33 as well. So how perfect. Even a story like that encoded. In Israel, this is on display right now. McJesus, Ronald McDonald on the cross. And I didn't spend a lot of time on this decode. But with the very apparent M, it made me think about how M's the 13th letter, and Jesus and his 12 disciples, 13, the sun and the 12 constellations, the zodiac. What I noticed about the headline that's emphasized McJesus, the 90 jumped out in a big way because Holy Bible's 90. McJesus and Holy Bible have the overlap with 90 and 45. Of course, when you write out 13 as a word, it's 45. And both reduction ciphers, just like Holy Bible. But I think this is part of the reason for this mockery, you know, putting Ronald McDonald on the cross. A lot of things come back to 13. And there's probably a whole lot more to this story. Like I said, I didn't give it a lot of attention. But If anybody else wants to look into it, it's out there. Israel getting criticism for the McJesus museum display. And maybe I should also point out, in light of the 45 thing, this story was getting a lot of attention at the same time Donald Trump, number 45, was getting attention for feeding the Clemson football team fast food. And Ronald McDonald Trump, Donald Trump, I know when he first became president, there was a big focus on how much he loved fast food, and there was a story about how he eats McDonald's at least 3 times a week. I was thinking, come on, that cannot be true. Is that really true? Donald Trump eats McDonald's 3 times a week. He does have the physique to believe it, but I just got to imagine when you have the kind of money and power Donald Trump does, you can eat better things than McDonald's. That just seemed like more marketing for the fast food chain that's on every corner, almost every block of this world. So, and really, I think that's what this story comes back to. Just more marketing for McDonald's. Also, last night, put out a quick video on this, just in case you missed it. The wife of Jacob Rothschild died January 13th, old 113. She was born on a date with 67 numerology, 67 the 19th prime, dead at age 83, murder 83. Dead on a date with 53 numerology, Rothschild 53. Dead on a date with a life lesson number of 26 as well, Serena 26. That was her name, Serena Rothschild. You put those numbers together, it sums to 79, also like murder. Murder has the values of 79 and 83 when you flip the alphabetic order around. And from her husband's upcoming birthday to the day she died was a span of 107 days. Ritual sacrifice, 107. I noticed that their names as well, their full names, got Gematria overlap too, which is interesting. And for the record, Jacob Rothschild was born on the 119th day of the year. Star of David, 119. Think about the Rothschild family in Israel. With that on my mind, I do want to point out something I noticed last night. Speaking of Israel, notice the battle for Jerusalem began November 9th. A date that can be written 9/11 or 11/9. In the year 47, Star of David and Orthodox, 119 and 47. Ashkenazi Jews also has the Gematria of 119. And then it ended July 18th, 18/7, like 187, Abrahamic. 187, the Abrahamic religions are Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Christianity and Islam, both based pretty much out of Judaism. So, what are the odds? It's also the day Donald Trump, Mr. Jerusalem. That's what this picture is here. These guys at the Western Wall, just like how Donald Trump was at the Western Wall on Jerusalem Day. So, never noticed that before. But Jacob Rothschild, born on the 119th day of the year, the big Zionist, the big Ashkenazi. The Ashkenazis, the modern Nazis of our time, you know, doing to the Palestinians what supposedly other people did to the Jews in history's past. An eye for an eye, that is what it teaches in the Old Testament. Somebody will be sure to scorn me in the comments. That's a mistranslation. Well, the whole Bible's mistranslated. Still what it says. Gotta wonder about these people who follow the Bible so closely with all these mistranslations, and they're aware of the mistranslations. Like, so, okay, so you learned somewhere that that verse was mistranslated, but then you're not questioning the other ones, huh? Okay. Where's your logic? Where's your critical thinking? Also, last night, just in case you missed the short video I put out, PG&E announced that they filed to plan bank. Whoops. PG&E, the energy company in California, blamed for the November 8th fires. They announced that they plan to file for bankruptcy, meaning they're going to have the taxpayers of California pay for everything. Isn't that nice? You get your state burned to the ground, and then you got to pay for it. You know, and understand all of this stuff is by design. You know, there shouldn't be any such thing as bankruptcy. None of this stuff should exist. You know, if you create a problem, you need to take care of it, not have everybody bail you out. All of this stuff is by design to screw us all over. Anyway, bankruptcy 67. How many days was it from the November 8th fire to when they announced this last night, January 14th? 67 days later. And again, 67 is the 19th prime. And here we are in 2019. And PGE equals 19. And so does burn. You know, it's happened November 8th, 11 plus 8, 19. Everything done is a mockery. And remember, Paradise, California, and Los Angeles, California, both sum to 118, like November 8th. LA on the 118th meridian. Netflix doing things by the numbers. Today they announced that they're going to raise prices for their customers, and their stock soared, and it lifted Wall Street. Think about this economy, the supposed economy. Netflix goes up, a video streaming service, and boom, the money's just flowing on Wall Street. I mean, it's just such a joke when you just think about how dumb this world is. A video streaming service. By the way, I wish I had power in college. When I was a sophomore in college, my brainchild was Netflix. Netflix didn't exist yet. This was like 2002. And I even wrote a paper about, I forget, it was some business class, but I was saying we were supposed to like come up with a business concept. And my concept was to come up with a streaming service for movies, especially movies that hardly anybody ever watched. I was like, there's so many movies in the world that almost nobody's ever seen. Go to a video store. I mean, just put them all on a streaming service. And the videos can get some recognition. You know, you can pay them a little commission. Then lo and behold, it wasn't that many years later, all of a sudden Netflix exists. And I was like, hey, this is exactly what I was saying they should make. If only I had done it. Anyway, today is January 15th, and CNN, for their picture of Netflix raising their prices, uses the shot from Bird Box. If you haven't seen this film, what I'm about to tell you doesn't really ruin the film because you find it out right in the beginning anyway, but something crazy's happened in the world, and people are seeing things, and as soon as they see it, they immediately kill themselves. That's why they're going around with blindfolds. I'm sure someday a comedy spoof will be made about Bird Box. But anyhow, today's date can also be written 15/1, like 151. It's the 36th prime number, and look at Netflix, 3636. And today's news just has the market soaring. Netflix is raising their prices, so stock prices are up. And don't forget 666, the 36th triangular number. Dow Jones equals 666. So does New York, like how Wall Street's in New York. Remember when the price fell 666 points, or the Dow did, on the 33rd day of last year? Dow Jones and New York also have the 33 Gematria. And just reading today's story about how the market's up and Dow Jones is the catalyst behind it, it just made me think of my days in college, because I had to read this book for a class I took too. I didn't have much room for electives in the program I had, but one of the elective classes I took, and probably the most memorable class I ever took in college, I had a good professor for it. It was, the class was called Los Angeles Cultural Theory. And it was actually an awesome class. It was where I learned about how GM bought up Los Angeles and tore out all the electric rail and got behind the urban planning of the city and decided to make the urban sprawl, or the suburban sprawl, excuse me. Also that people would be dependent on vehicles and gasoline. And you know, and I was in business school, so I'd be in other classes and listen to professors talk about how great capitalism is and how corporations are what make the U.S. so great. And I'd be thinking, like, this really contrasts with what I'm learning over here in L.A. cultural theory, where talking about how GM pretty much screwed over Los Angeles. It could have been a lot more efficient city, cleaner city, not the city that's buried in smog. Seems more like these corporations are figuring out how to structure the world just for profit and not for sensibility. And I really already knew that before I took the class, but it was just interesting at that same time being in business school and then going into this one class that was so much different from everything else I was taking. But we had to read this book. And if you like to read it, it's actually an interesting read, about how much influence cinema's had on the United States of America. And when you think about it, I mean, most people learning how to walk and talk and act cool from the movies. So, yeah, movies absolutely do keep the wheels churning here in the US of A. And just another thing that's circulating in the news, another story that even if it's true, nobody needs to know about. 3 Florida children dead after climbing into an unplugged freezer. They just got to bombard us with the negativity. What a great thought. Three dead children. They said the children are 1, 4, and 6, which adds up to what, 11? The master number. But I didn't put a lot of thought into this. I just noticed right away that the county name equals 56. Like when you write out 3, it's 56. And then it's Florida again. And I mean, what percentage of stories do we get that are like tragedies, shootings that come out of Florida, which is the you-know-who state? Florida has that Gematria 38 like death. And anyway, I'm sure there's more with the riddles here. Reminds us of stories from years past. The Jenkins girl who was found dead in a freezer. And anyhow, didn't see too much going on today. Again, the slow news cycle is it's been slow now for so many weeks. Normally we just have more stuff going on. And I'm just wondering, I'm like, is this the calm before the storm? I love how CNN keeps putting breaking and changing this timer. Now it's back to 33. They've had this up all morning. They keep saying it's breaking. It's not breaking. It's been breaking since I woke up like 7 in the morning. But if anybody wants to call in, the number is 509-731-0567. Again, 509-731-0567. See if there's any emerging headlines we can talk about before we sign off today. Brexit rejected, of course. Looks like they're setting up another date, March 29th, huh? Yeah, I'll look into that later. All right, you guys. I don't think there is anything else cooking in the world right now. Let's run through the news headlines right now. Take a peek. Yeah, Brexit's the thing. We got that one pretty well. I guess for people who haven't followed for so long, let me see if I can pull up this one of my favorite things about Brexit when it originally happened. Yeah, Big Ben's out of commission. That's not the post I want. Why did it not come up? Let's see. There's this film, The 39 Steps. It's about the Great War. It has to do with Big Ben. Great War's 39, Big Ben's 39. I don't think this is the original post. I was trying to go off memory. Of course, the Great War did begin in 39. From the date of the Brexit vote, June 23rd, to when they had the terror attack near Parliament, it was 39 weeks later. And May has the Gematria 39, like Brexit, like Cameron, like how they're Libras. And to add on to that list, Masonry's 39. The big red helicopter with the Masonic logo was on display March 22nd, 2017 outside of Parliament when there was that attack. Masonry largely based on the 39 books of the Old Testament. But yeah, there's been a lot of rituals synced up with Brexit since it happened. And there was something else the day of the Brexit vote. I wanted to see. Just as a reminder, you guys, my blog, Free to Find Truth, if you come here and search for topics, I have tons of information on so many things. Theresa May announced a surprise UK election, June 8, 2017, 115 days from her birthday. And again, here we are today, another big Theresa May thing on 115. It's just, this is how you can follow the patterns and see that what they're doing is not an accident, not a coincidence. It's repetitive. So it's just like when Brexit happened and David Cameron resigned. His birthday's October 9th, 10/9, like 109. The Brexit vote was 109 days from his birthday. Parliament's 109. There's something else with that 39 steps. I'll have to go through my blog and find it. I don't want to bore you guys just scanning through things. But again, if you're on your cell phone, you won't see this search bar unless you go to the bottom. If you go to freetofindtruth.blogspot.com and scroll to the bottom of the page as soon as it loads, there'll be something that says View Web Version. If you click that, then this search bar will appear up in the top left. And then, you know, there's a lot to search through. There's over 20,000 posts here. So we can cut it short today. We'll be back tomorrow, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 Eastern. Let's think about what's tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Tomorrow's date doesn't have the any of the big numbers for their rituals, so let's see. Maybe it'll be a slow day tomorrow. Maybe they'll surprise us. But we'll leave it here for today, Truth Seeker. Till next time.